Welcome to Beyond the Headlines and the WMD Plus app, where we break down today's local news stories with our very own reporters. I'm Kevin Main.
And I'm Alex Berger. Today we're going to be talking about a big update out of the Peoria Housing Authority and then a new agreement between two colleges in the Twin Cities.
And lastly, an answer to higher insurance rates in Illinois, what J.B. Pritzker is planning on doing. But our first big local story of the day puts Alex in the hot seat.
Here I am.
So you were covering this Peoria Housing Authority meeting.
That's right.
So talk to us a little bit about what's kind of the new information we know and maybe a bit of a pre-context what's going on here.
A little bit of background. So the Peoria Housing Authority is an organization that provides housing to people who, upon request, they have kind of a submission that they do and they say, I would like to find housing. They help them do that well. They've been in the news because their CFO was terminated. They released a thing saying that their CFO had been terminated, didn't release a whole lot otherwise. They did give the reasoning being that there was a misuse of company money, and we didn't know the amount, and we didn't know their name. And so today, the big news of that is a week after or so, about a week after that news came out, they announced that they would have a press conference today. Well, that press conference happened at their actual Peoria Housing Authority location. And it was an interesting vibe, I should say, because it was, just the news, and then there was a few officials, and it was kind of like just sitting in silence. And there was a little bit of tension, like it just felt tense in that room. And then their new interim CEO, Damon Duncan, went to the podium along with, he followed Kedar Hefner, who is their board chairman for the Peoria Housing Authority. So Kedar was first, and he spoke about the situation itself, saying that it was, they found irregularity in their funds, and that, the CFO had been terminated. Well, my question was, where did the money come from, and how was it used? They said, well, it's an ongoing investigation, so we can't really comment on that. And I said, okay, I do have another important question. What's their name?
Because they haven't released it so far, right?
Exactly. This name has not been released. Whoever it is, we do not know. And so I asked that, to which I was told by Kedar again, there's an ongoing investigation. We are unable to comment on that at this time. I said, okay. So I go back, I email Peoria Police spokesperson Simone Roth, and I said, hey, is there any information you can provide regarding this investigation? Obviously, I was, if you can't comment on it, you can't comment on it. That's fine. Simone then says, with it being an open investigation, there isn't much we can say. She did say, however, the Peoria Housing Authority should be able to tell you what the CFO's name is.
Right.
So I have emailed Damon Duncan about this, and I have not received an email back yet. It is obviously, end of day. But it's just an interesting development that now it's a little bit of cat and mouse. What's going to happen with this? And we just don't really know what's going on. Another interesting thing is, maybe the name is in some of their agenda or minutes or anything like that. You go back into their minutes. Well, the last minutes that were published on their website is from January 2024.
Wow.
You may think, well, they haven't had minutes since then. Well, actually, they've had meetings regularly. They've had meetings just like any other commission has, any other board. And there's even ones that say approval of minutes for November 2025, December 2025. So it's an interesting development and something to keep an eye on. So
Definitely.
that was my day today.
Yeah, it sounds full on. Thanks for tackling that. Now, I wanted to show you this. You could take your kids to a theme park this summer, or you could hop in the car and take a long road trip. But why not do something different? Why not take a trip to Iguana Island? It's an uninhabited island in the Turks and Caicos, also known as Little Cay. It's an iguana sanctuary accessible by boat. Volunteers are working on conservation efforts to help the iguana population continue to grow. Visitors can visit by renting kayaks or boat tours. There's only one rule on the island: don't feed the iguanas. I mean, technically, you could swim there.
You could. I like how much they have their like eyes closed. They're so cute. You never think about how like actually cute iguanas are.
Yeah, I think iguanas are like a B+ animal in my mind.
Really?
I think they just get a lot of hate because they're invasive in Florida, and like every living thing is basically invasive in Florida.
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, iguanas are fun. Chameleons are fun, and then of course geckos are fun.
Yeah, geckos
are a good time.
The geckos are everywhere in Australia. Which
Are they
is
really?
Great. Yeah, they are.
You can find them on like trees and stuff.
Yeah, like you can see them, especially if you're further north, like in Queensland. You just see them eating bugs everywhere, just on the wall. And I used to grow up, and we used to catch geckos and put them in little like enclosures.
He used to grow up.
Yeah, I used to grow up. I used to be a kid.
At one time, believe it or not. But yeah. Do you have anything else to say about it?
No, I don't really have much else to say. But luckily, we're on to our break. So when we come back on Beyond the Headlines, we've got Austin Feeman live from the Twin Cities newsroom to talk about a new agreement between two Twin Cities colleges. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Another big local story of the day. Heartland Community College and Illinois State University came together Tuesday morning to sign an articulation agreement between the institutions. And WMBD's Austin Feeman, he joins us live now from the Twin Cities newsroom. I think it's what, Studio B? To go over what this all means. So Austin, friend of the program, thank you for joining us. What is this agreement?
Yes, thank you, Alex. So basically, this agreement is an articulation agreement, like you said, between Heartland Community College and Illinois State University. There are actually three different agreements that happened this morning at the signing. These agreements provide a seamless transfer of credits between the two institutions. So people can take classes at Heartland Community College, and those credits can be transferred over to Illinois State University to continue their education without any loss of credits or anything. Now, this is only for three, the ones that were signed today were for three different majors, that's including special education, engineering, and mechanical engineering, as Illinois State University has their new College of Engineering. So this is kind of feeding off of that. And it really is just a way for students to kind of have a direct line from one institution, a community college, to a public university.
What will this program do for students then?
Yeah, so basically, like I said earlier, it's going to provide a streamlined way for students to be able to transfer those credits over and go to a different university. In this case, it's Illinois State University. So they'll be able to start their schooling at Heartland and then transfer to ISU after 2 years or so and keep all of their credits without any loss. This is also going to help with repeating courses from Heartland to ISU. Students won't have to repeat any courses. But yeah, so this is 3 of 53 different agreements between Illinois State University and 21 other community colleges. Now, this is the 17th agreement between Heartland Community College and Illinois State University. So a lot of things going on. It's going to do a lot for students in these majors, especially the new majors of engineering and mechanical engineering. So yeah.
Fantastic, Austin. Wonderful as always. Are we still going with questions?
Yeah. Okay, I think one thing we should ask is, why is this so important for both institutions?
Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah, so this it's so important for both of the institutions because it really it builds that relationship between them. They have already had 14 other articulation agreements with Heartland Community College and Illinois State University. So that's just strengthening that relationship with the two institutions, and it makes more room for agreements in the future. The university is ever growing, and same with the community college. They're both ever growing and ever changing, and new majors and new programs will come up, and that way they can continue and they can make more agreements based on the new programs and whatnot.
Yeah, as a transfer student myself, I mean, that was a big deal for me. So it's cool to have that perfect transition. Thank you so much, Austin, as always. Well, I am not sure if this guy, Cameron, has ever heard of Peeps. Have you?
Yes.
Okay.
My wife loves Peeps.
There it is.
But not the sweet, like the actual.
Yeah,
Peep,
yeah.
like the design, the bunny wabbit.
Okay, I see. But they are an Easter basket go-to. Now for this spring, Peeps is releasing a fresh lineup of limited edition collaborations. There's Hostess Peeps, Cupcakes, Peeps Doritos Italian Ice, Peeps Cake Bites, and they're also collabing with Bath and Body Works for Peeps smelling body care. Like, this is not like the worst thing ever because it's just like marshmallow, but like, who likes Peeps this much?
I think they should make a perfume that smells like wet dog, personally, but obviously we could make this Peep. I feel like I gotta say that every time there's perfume related.
You know, some people would probably argue that it smells better than Peeps.
Wet dog?
Yeah, I mean, dude, the hatred.
Have you smelled a wet dog?
Yes.
It's just like that thing smells.
I know.
You just send it out and it swims in the river, not the Illinois River. I don't think you could even allow.
And then yeah, it's like 3 heads.
Yeah, it's like the Simpsons, you know. They're about to put the glass dome on top of us because of what's in the river. But I don't think you can put the dog in there. But we used to take our dogs to the river in Melbourne, where I used to live, and they could swim and, you know, wash up and have a good time.
This is how it goes, man. We start with Peeps, and now we're like radioactive dogs.
Dogs?
Well, we've got one more local story for you. When we return on Beyond the Headlines, we're sitting down with Cameron to go over the answer on why we may be seeing higher insurance rates. We'll be right back. Oh, hey.
Well, welcome back. Another big local story of the day puts Kevin in the hot seat now, which is really...
Cameron's in the hot seat. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has some plans to tackle high insurance rates. Cameron's here to tell us what he's been learning.
Well, I've been here the whole time. But of course, I am here now. So let's just go straight into...
Let's just do it.
Let's just... Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just also recovering from a sickness. So if I have to cough, I might have to cough. So anyway,
You just cough.
Home insurance rates. You may have learned that during the summertime, it increased a fair amount. And so the reason around that was they were like, okay, it's getting expensive because there's a lot of weather warnings, tornadoes, heavy storms. And so basically they did, I believe, a 28% increase over it. And so then basically what happened after that is Governor J.B. Pritzker and Kwame Raoul and some other folks were like, we don't think this is okay. I don't think this is what we should go for. I think this, you know, they don't explain why to us, why they increased the rates. And then so basically what happened after that is they tried to pass legislation that would kind of regulate the industry. So it would kind of give the state in some ways a final say on the rate making process. So for example, if they are able to, if the State Department here in Illinois is able to identify a certain rate increase when it comes to home insurance and premiums, and they go, hey, we believe that this is too extreme, they can then, in theory under this bill, go, hey, you can't do that, and basically kind of block it or at least force them to give some relief. There's still some working parts of this legislation, but that was what they tried to pass last year, and it failed because last minute, basically, from my understanding, is that a lot of the parties actually agreed to the final legislation. And then they changed it last second as soon as it got to the House floor, hoping no one would notice. They did, and people freaked out, and the bill was killed. So now we're going for round 2, we're back in the spring, and we're working towards this insurance regulation.
Yeah, I promise we have some smarts and poise to us at times.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we actually cover important stuff, but
we're actual journalists instead of laughing on the
instead of just like two musketeers or Dumb and Dumber, you know, whatever comparison you want to make.
Yes. Well, that's really interesting. I mean, do you have anything else you want to add about
Yeah, I do. I think as well, I think it'll be interesting to see how this bill moves forward.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, it was in committee, so it still has a bit to move up. And again, you know, these bills, when they're in committee and they don't move, they can always, like, there's a method where they can gut the bill and just put it in a different one and then just be able to pass it through. They have a lot of strategies to avoid some of these deadlines that are imposed. So there's not necessarily, there's plenty of time for these groups to talk, but it looks like they're probably wanting to get something done by May 31st. And Governor Pritzker's pretty hard behind it as well. I think that's the important thing. And usually when the governor's behind a bill, it kind of goes through moves a little faster, right? It has that momentum. But that's not necessarily been the case. Recently we saw the cell phones ban. That was last year. That kind of was put on pause. It's back in movement again. There was the 4-year college degrees, and that kind of didn't move forward as well.
Took another backseat.
Because that was something where, you know, there was a lot of like basically inside baseball there that kind of stopped it from moving, and some very upset groups on the bill. And so especially because with that one, there's higher ed funding, EBF, like expanding higher ed funding for, you know, colleges that are really struggling right now, like Eastern, Western, Governor State, and ISU also supports that. And so they wanted that passed if people wanted the college 4-year community college degrees passed. So there was kind of like a bit of a clash between the two groups representing community colleges and higher education, or the big colleges, and they just kind of couldn't meet there. So there's a lot of pieces, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of reason why some pieces of legislation can't move, even with the governor's name behind it. So I think it's really important to take that into consideration when this insurance bill, and he is really pushing for it. It was also a part of his budget speech from my memory. So it
was. And again, with the state of the state, it always comes up after the state of the state. We go, oh,
exactly,
we got to do these bills. All right, well, moving on, here's a happy hippo for Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
Jelly Bean, the baby pygmy hippo, was seen swimming and exploring her enclosure at a zoo in Arizona. Have we heard anything about Moo Dang? She doing all right?
I think she's just big and ugly.
The public chose to name the baby to go along with candy-themed mom Lollipop and dad Tootsie Roll. That's rough.
Aww.
An education specialist at the zoo said when she swims, you can tell she's the happiest little hippo in the world and definitely loves being around mom. The pygmy hippo gained popularity in 2024 after Moo Dang in Thailand went viral. What's this one's name? Oh, Jelly Bean. I'm
Jelly
silly.
Bean. You just said it. No, that is so adorable. I think baby pygmy hippos are some of like the cutest animals, especially like their ear flicks. Like it is so. And you could see it like going for a swim. You know, I really love this little guy, honestly.
This is Cameron waiting for his table at One World.
Play the video. I don't want to see me. I want to see the hippo.
That's so funny. Yeah, I like the sensational animals. I think it's fun, especially with, you know, everyone's favorite, Punch the Monkey.
Oh, yeah, Punch the Monkey, yeah. I think it's always interesting to just follow the different baby animals that gain popularity.
Do you ever have a like an animal tracker? Like where you could like follow an animal?
Yeah, you could.
And then it like stops moving and you go, oh no.
I think one of the things, you know, Moo Dang got viral. I think the next baby animal that'll go viral is like a baby anteater, because those things are really cute. And they just look like, you know how babies look like pink little weird things usually when they come out? This, like the baby anteater is just an anteater. It just gets larger. But anyway, thanks for joining us for today's Beyond the Headlines. You can find all these stories and more where?
Over on our website, CIProud.com. Look at that.
For breaking news and weather updates 24/7, log on to CIProud.com and download the free CI Proud to Go mobile app.